Hello, pocket knife community, knife lovers, knife enthusiasts, interested viewers. Folder here. Under normal circumstances, I don't like front flippers. And I'm going to say that only because my two experiences with front flippers have been bad. So technically, it's an uneducated statement because in reality, if I had a good one like I do now, then I probably wouldn't feel the way I feel. So my two examples, this is one of the first knives I bought when I was building up my stock of knives. I think I bought this knife not even realizing it was a front flipper at the time. That's how ignorant I was. And yeah, it's the TS 229 Tucson. So I bought this on the secondary market. I paid little to nothing for it. I liked the way it looked at the time, and I still like it. But from a front flipper standpoint, it has two really bad problems. One, the detent is not perfectly tuned for front tip flipping. Is it terrible? No, but it's not great. And the biggest problem with it, the elephant in the room, is, sorry, I have a cold, guys, is the flipper tab itself is not tall enough. It just doesn't rise high enough above the pivot. If you look at it compared to the Mero here, which we'll get to, but I feel this is a perfect front flipper and has changed my opinion about front flippers. If you look at it, you can clearly see that it doesn't have enough meat on the game. So, can you flip it? Yeah, but the geometry is not ideal. So it was just never satisfying to me. That's the first example. Now the second example is an example of a knife that, and I really hate to beat up this knife because I'm gonna actually beat up the fact that it's a front flipper, but I knew that I wouldn't like the front flipper, and I didn't care because the deployment hole is so amazing, and the rest of the knife is so amazing. I don't even use the front flipper. I can't use the front flipper. Like, I actually can't use it. So I really hate beating up this knife, but I'm gonna do it right now with the front flipping part, and that's the Leon Mach Field Duty. This knife, from a front flipper perspective, is, for me, my opinion, horrendous. This is like the worst example of a front flipper to me that I could possibly get. But when I saw the knife, the deployment hole was so enormous, and the other attributes about the knife was so amazing that I said, I don't care about the front flipper. I don't care if I can't do it. I'm gonna still just get this knife. But we're talking about front flippers. And that, to me, along with the detent being so strong, there was a controversy around the detent, so it was too light. Now it's too strong. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. So the detent is so strong that this front flipper, for me, I can't get this thing out. So you're talking about someone that's terrible at front flipping. It's just not in my geometry. And a poor example of a front flipper. But I gotta add, knife is awesome. It's awesome. So I just wanted to add that. I don't want you to think that this knife is crap, because it's not. It's just not a good front flipper. But now we're back to the Mero. And this is the Miguron knives Mero. And let's just get into it. This knife is, my opinion, and that's what we're talking about here, almost flawless. Almost. It does have a few little problems that, I will get to, but it is a vast improvement, and it is a very good knife. Just for perspectives, It's the size of a PM2. It is 8.3 inches. So it's actually longer than a PM2. You know, it's actually longer. Because the PM2 is 8.03 inches, I believe. And this is 8 point. So it's a little longer, but from a visual, let me put this here. Yeah, from a visual, it looks about the same. But I don't know how it looks in my camera, but from the perspective of me sitting here, you can definitely see that it's a little bit more into this box than the PM2. So it's negligible. So it's basically a PM2 size. It's a 3.6 inch blade. The blade thickness is 160 thousandths, M390 steel, and it is a hollow grind, hand rub satin finish, drop point blade, dual ground drop point blade. But you can actually see the hollow, the dual grind on the blade. That's another thing that a lot of times, that I don't like about knives when blades are too complicated. But some blades that are complicated can get away with it, and this is one that can, because not only does it have a dual grind, but it shares a common belly. If you put this next to an American Tonto, there would be a point right here, right? So it's almost like an American Tonto, but converted into a drop point. According to Miguron knives, the M390 is heat treated at 59 to 61 HRC, and the handle length is 4.7 inches. The handle material is titanium, and the finish is sandblasted. This is made by in China, and the designer's name is Sam. That's all I know about it. And at this point right now, this is a initial impression overview. I don't actually care to know more. I'll know more later. What I will say about this knife is, it is very good. Very good. The dual ground blade with the top swedge, it has a deployment window that's sort of like a fuller almost. It's like a closed off fuller that doesn't run into the tang, which is interesting. And that's very nice. I love the finishing on the texture on the titanium handles is excellent. It offers that grip that you lose with knives like this. Even though this is an aftermarket scale, it's still smooth. So sometimes under certain circumstances, this can feel slippery in hand. Textured titanium is almost always better. In this situation, it is. Miguron used T8s all the way around on the hardware, even in the main pivot, and all the screws, everything. Even the pocket clip has T8, except for the overstop, which is probably a 6. Pocket clip is excellent. I've actually carried this thing in my pocket, and it works very well. Goes in and out very well, holds the knife stable in your pocket very well. It's a captured main pivot, which I think that we're at a point right now where all knives should have one side captured main pivot. We need to get past, I keep pulling out the PM2. Love this knife though, but we gotta stop. We gotta get past this, guys. I mean, this is an old knife, so I understand, but two-sided screws, stop. It's almost like manual roll-down windows in a car. At a certain point, we have to get past that and get to a captured system. That's just much easier to manipulate and deal with. You don't have to deal with two sides. And Miguron did that. The access to the lock bar is absolutely excellent. the lock bar tuning is absolutely excellent. And I mention that because my Giant Mouse GMP5, my flagship Giant Mouse, even though I love that knife, it has absolute terrible, terrible tuning on the lock bar. It's way too tight. They need to learn from Miguron. I love the way that the pivot has this ring around it, the styling, the relief cuts in the lock bar. They're kind of sharp, so they feel like maybe on certain types of pants they might catch. But so far, I haven't experienced that. They work perfect, even though that's the case. What else? The detent. I did talk about it, but yeah, the detent is absolutely, might be the best feature in the whole knife. Detent is absolutely perfect. I mean, it pulls exactly how it should. You know, yeah, I think I got it all. Backspace is very nice, competent, adds balance to the knife, and it just looks incredible. Okay, so that's it. Now the negative, because there are two negatives. Okay, two negatives. The first negative is this edge. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. It's a production knife. It's not a listen, it does cut paper, but come on. We have to put a better edge on your knives coming, today. Knives out the factory are coming with edges on them that are so ridiculously good that, the Rick Hinderer not putting an edge on the blade is just played out. Not to say that this isn't an edge. It is an edge. It's just some of the knives that have come out recently have such good edges. I think Miguron should take the time and put a little bit better edge on this knife. Okay, just saying. I'll use my TS Prof and I'll put my own edge on it. But I'm just saying. Okay, with the price point, you want a little bit better edge. That's something that can be fixed. Technically, the next problem can be fixed too, just not as easy. The next problem is this finger choil. Just come on, guys. First of all, it's too small. It's just a tiny little choil, like for a big knife like this, that little choil. So it's too small, and the sharpened edge comes a little bit too close to the opening. So when you put your finger in there, you actually feel that sharpened edge. I get it. It's not. I mean, Giant Mouse kind of set the tone with the Tribeca. Giant Mouse Tribeca has a massive front finger choil. Matter of fact, let me go get my knife. Yeah, the Tribeca has a massive front choil, and it just kind of set the bar. Showing off, bringing both of my Tribecas out. Yeah, it kind of set the bar on finger choils to me. You want to add a choil that an adult can get their hand in. I mean, I might have hands bigger than most, but I'm just saying, this is generous, so it allows that work to be done, and it's very chamfered and rounded off beautifully, very comfortable, generous choil. That's a small choil, and the edge, like I said, is too far back. So that would be my only complaint. Make that choil bigger with this big, beautiful, gorgeous blade. Yeah, make the choil bigger. Make that choil bigger so we can use this knife for work if we want. And yeah. So, but aside from the edges that they put on the knife, which is something that can be easily fixed, and I will fix that edge. That choil is the only flaw I see in this knife. Otherwise, yeah, yeah. I will definitely have to say that Miguron did their thing. I ordered one more Miguron knife. It's gonna take a while to get here. These things happen. When it does, I'll do a review on it, and I'm gonna actually tell a story about a personal experience I had with the company, with Miguron as a company, that I think that viewers that are interested in Miguron knives would want to know about. Okay? All right. But for now, that's all I got. Beautiful knife. Beautiful. Really nice. That's the Miguron knives. Mero? Is it Mero? Moro? Wait a minute, how you pronounce this daggone thing? Yeah, it's the Mero, right? The Mero. Miguron Mero. All right, that's all I got.